I've just received an email about someone going to a local Walmart and and saying, look, if you don't believe this is the scam of the century, it's the scam of the century. Now, this is something that I have not seen or thought of, but I started doing a little research, and all of a sudden I found out it's a big problem. And if you start actually paying attention to what's happening with the weight of what you're paying for, you know how you look at the price of chicken, beef, salmon, whatever you're purchasing. They have the unit price, which is what I always tell people to buy off of, the unit price, not the main price, because the unit price actually tells you what you're paying per pound or per ounce. And there's usually on there it says you're paying per pound, and then it has a weight on there, and then you're buying it. There's a scandal showing that some of those weights may be a little fibbed, a little fuzzed. So are we actually getting what we're paying for? Major breaking here. And I think that if you are going and buying food, especially meat, at a supermarket, a Walmart, please pay attention to the weight. Are you actually getting what you're paying for? We're going to talk about that story because that is crazy. And then we're also going to talk about, again, the worry of the danger of people coming to the country, even if it's legal. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm going to talk about how people don't assimilate and they want to change America. We're really talking about Islam. The danger of Islam, and we're going to talk about how they're literally taking over America. Not in a way of saying they're going to run for president. It doesn't take that. That's what we don't understand. It's not about being the state senator, being the state governor. It's not what it's about. It's the local election. We're going to discuss what the new quote-unquote jihad is. It'll blow your mind. And then lastly, we're going to talk about that thing that happened, back in 2020, that everybody had to get. Some new crazy stories have just come out about some of the repercussions of that. And I think we need to dive a little deeper, because what we realized in that situation with this, it made a lot of people unhealthy, but it also put us on a spinning path of trajectory that is very, very dangerous. We're going to discuss all that today. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Remember, if you are subscribed to this channel, you are entered into a giveaway that we do each and every month. Also remember, we have another channel, Life with Colby Mack. That is my vlog channel. It's always uplifting, inspiring, and we want to show you exactly what we do on this farm and how we live our life day in and day out. I have a new video up today, so go check that out. Also, my wife has a channel, Life on the Farm. She's showing everything in her perspective. You see a situation that happened to the little cat that always is in my videos. We have a great video on that. Go check that out because it's something that's special and you need to go check it out. Now, let's dive into the stories today because it becomes very, very serious on some of these issues that we're talking about. First, let's talk about Walmart. And this is at Walmart, but this is also this email that I received from an anonymous source. I don't want to give his name out. But he says, this is something that I've been doing, is going around and actually weighing what these meats are actually packaged at and actually what they're showing on the radar. Now, this guy sent me this, and then I started doing my own research and saw like Wall Street apes. And we saw a lot of other people on Twitter that were going and saying, here's what we're doing. We're seeing what they're charging us. Like, if you go to Walmart, it says like $4.98 or $6.98 for a pound of chicken. And then this packaging says it's 3 pounds of chicken. And so it's 3 pounds versus the $4.98 or $6.98, and there's your price. It's unit pricing. What they were showing is when they took that chicken that's supposedly 3 pounds or 4 pounds, and they put it on the scale, they were getting charged for 4 pounds, but it may be 3.18. They were getting charged for 6 pounds, but it may actually be 4.5 pounds. So we were not checking it because we were trusting the information on it. So what that was actually overcharging us and actually costing more per pound than what we were actually getting meat-wise. So when you thought you were paying $4 or $5 a pound, you were actually paying $6 or $7 or $8 a pound because the poundage was off. So what this guy was saying, he said, if you remember in self-checkout in Walmarts, they have a scale built into the bottom. And I was like, man, I have not thought about this. This was awesome. What he was doing was, how you weigh your bananas, tomatoes, or whatever you're buying per unit. He said, I do that with my meat. He said, because then I really see if they're taking advantage of me. Again, so I started doing a little research. I want you to listen. This is the biggest article I found dealing with Wall Street apes. Shared this video, And it said the same thing. It says, another Walmart product weight scandal. America showed that the pack of chicken labeled very clearly at 6.39 pounds. And when he puts it on the scale, it actually only weighed 4 pounds. So what they were doing was they were going and taking this packaging that said 6 pounds or 7 pounds, and then they were using the fruit and vegetable scale that is literally built into the Walmart self-checkout, and they were laying it on that, and they were realizing they're getting overcharged. Bam! That is huge. You know why I don't think about this? Because I don't really buy meat. So, I mean, unless we're doing a, you know, again, a church event or something like that, we don't really buy meat. We literally just grow it. But that was unbelievable. So next time I'm in Walmart, I'm literally going to try this out. I want to go see if this is actually true, because what people are seeing is there's some little fibbing of numbers going on. So this would be my challenge to you. Pay attention. If you have a scale and you can go to self-checkout, weigh it. See if it actually is exactly what it's supposed to be. Say it's off half a pound. Do you realize that still costs you money? So if it's off a half a pound and each pound's costing you $4 or $5, it's still costing you an extra $2 or $3. That's an extra tax or fee that you're having to pay for absolutely nothing. Pay attention to that. Now, what goes along with this, did you see the recall from Walmart? This is huge, and I want to make sure that we pay attention to this. And I don't want to just pick on Walmart. I'm picking on a lot of grocery stores, but this is another. It says Walmart recalls 850,000 bottles after reports of permanent vision loss. Again, quit buying these plastic cheap bottles of water, because that plastic is made of the most terrible stuff and synthetic junk and polymer known to man. It's supposed to be the most economic, cheapest way to store water. And a lot of that plastic is coming from overseas. It goes through hot to cold, hot to cold. It goes through all this chemical coverage. It goes from all these ships and all these planes and all these boats and all these trains, and then you drink it thinking you're getting purified water. Please pay attention. So you have a scale issue that you may be overpaying at grocery stores, especially Walmart. And then on top of that, Walmart just recalled 850,000 bottles of water. So what we do, I'll be honest with you, again, this is just what we do. We have a well, so anytime we go on a trip, we usually fill up all the water bottles we can. Stainless steel water bottles, we don't use plastic of any sort, and we put them in our cooler. What we also have been doing, if we have to buy water on the roads, we've been buying glassed water or sparkling waters that are bottled in America, or at least have a label on them from a can that has been sustainably derived. Now, does that mean it's healthy and we could trust that? I don't know, but that sure beats buying the cheapest ones that tell you that they're bottled, you know, like Nestle's bottling water that's actually, you know, the purified water that they're taking from Chicago. I mean, you know, or Dasani's doing the same thing. At least I'm trying to get a better quality water. Be careful of buying these kind of things, because it actually may not be healthy for you. And then watch that scale. The second thing I want to talk about is something very, very serious. And I think we just kind of blow over it, is the fact of how America is changing, even with what we would consider a Christian or a conservative leaning way, especially now with the Republicans versus, you know, Kamala and Biden. I want you to listen. What we're actually seeing is a takeover of our country, just like we saw with Europe, and it's going to keep on happening. Mamdani kind of brought it up because, again, it's in New York, a Muslim running for New York City. He's going to end up winning. Talked about bringing Muslims more into the city house because that's what he truly believes. Let's keep on going with this. We're seeing the same thing happen in Minnesota with this new guy that's running for Minneapolis mayorship. He will probably win it. A Somalian guy who calls his homeland, even though he's native to America, he was born in America, because he's been not assimilated, what he actually believes is he calls his homeland Somalia. Now, I just want to be honest. When we talk about these kind of situations, what benefits have we gained from places like Dearborn or places like Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and some of those places that have allowed for so much immigration to take place? What we're actually seeing is these cities are starting to change. Let's go over a few headlines. We're seeing this in New York City, it's a big deal, but if you've missed a lot of the other ones, that's actually happening. Specific data on the number of Muslims in the U.S. city governments, meaning what they have been running for and doing. What Muslims have realized, if they want to take over America and want to actually, remember, that is their plea, that is their jihad, is to take over Western nations. They've done that in Europe. I mean, Europe has pretty much fallen, and now they're Afghan, literally, have you heard this? France just allowed for millions of people to be migrated to France from Gaza. So did Britain. Britain just brought in tons of Afghans. So basically they are changing their culture very, very handily. Well, America has been the next push for that. That's been a monster push. So listen, the war hadn't been on getting a Muslim president or a Muslim governor. It's been attacking the cities. There's a imam that said the true new jihad for post-COVID and post-9/11 was to take over the cities. Did you know that most Islamic legal migrants truly have not assimilated, that truly believes that America is a bad place, and they believe that their Middle Eastern country is better? What they believe in their culture and how they want to change America came in after 9/11. 88%. So that means we've allowed for the people that cause some of the problems that do not assimilate to be part of our culture after a terror event that was hinged on by their religion. You can try to change that all you want, but that is truth. A new study shows that from 23 to 24, the years 23 to 24, because some of the data has not come out for 25 yet, it says that 235 to 250 different council member seats across the nation, including mayorships, city council positions, have been filled by Muslim leaders in the name of trying to change for Islam or Sharia law. A notable example is Hamtramck, Michigan, which became the first U.S. city that has an all-Muslim city council and Muslim mayor. Their goal is to bring this more and more. It says that AI suggests and Grok suggests that Muslim representation is starting to go even heavier with every midterm going into the states. It says that 89 winning seats have been across 25 states. 25 states now have Muslim leadership in some form or fashion. A post on X claimed that 800 Muslims ran this last year election cycle. Now that's up from 235 to 250 in 23-24. Imam came out and said again, our goal is to start off small, take over the cities, take over the states, then the nation. We've already got 4 Muslims, open Muslims, who absolutely do not like America whatsoever in the House of Representatives. Of course, you know Talib, Omar, Andre Carlson, and Latifah Simon. All these people have pushed against American values and still call wherever they're originally from, their family, like again, Omar talks about her president being the Somalia president, not Donald Trump. This is a dangerous president. At least 10 Muslim mayors are documented in the U.S. of 2025. 6 to 7 are active, meaning they are changing their populations and changing the way the town looks at Sharia law. They're trying to bring it more and more in. Charlie Kirk says Muslims are commanded to take over the government and in the land they live. The attempted Islamic takeover of America is made possible thanks to mass legal migration. So why don't we pay attention to this, because this is extremely dangerous. Laura Loomer shared this story. It says an Al-Qaeda leader named Sahad bin Atif al-Lawaki just called for Muslims living in the U.S. to carry out jihad and to actually take the lives of the president and vice president. Now, this was just last month. Last month, in June, people. This is what's actually happening. And the more you allow for this to take place, the more it's going to happen. Nearly the entire Muslim population, which is around 4.5 million in America today, came in after 9/11. It's from Plano, Texas. This is a imam. Declares that Muslims who reject Sharia law are no longer Muslims. After moving to Plano, Texas, Islamic teacher Evans says Plano, Texas is one of the most vibrant Muslim areas, and we look to take over Plano and Dallas. I want to show you a picture from New York. This is in New York, people, in one of the areas. Now, you're like, oh, Colby, it's just a special day. Now, listen. With over 550 mosques and Islamic centers in the state, Muslim prayers outside declaring symbolic literally, they are taking over New York. And guess what? Every imam says Texas is next. Patrick McDavid said this back in 23, and I thought this was really good. It says, at this rate, it's just a matter of time before America becomes a Muslim nation. Look at just the babies. Christians and Americans, especially American-born citizens, are having babies at 2 or less per family on average, meaning we're not replacing our children. We're not replacing our race. It says for Muslims that are here are now having children by double, triple, and even quadruple the number of white Americans or Americans in general. This is that now you're seeing the Muslim race just grow by proximity because of population boom and how they're having more and more children, and this is the exact reason they're doing this, to grow the religion, and this is the easiest way for them to do it, by having them. Last point, it says, every Muslim in America is part of the Muslim Ummah. They're looking for full control of America, complete and utter Sharia law. This is from a guy living here in America that is one of the leaders here. 30% of Muslims in the US are African American. Now listen to this. This is unbelievable. A lot of these converts are because Islamic faith is going into the prisons and actually taking over prison systems to get these people to convert. And then that way, once they're out of prison, they're becoming back radicalized Islamists, believing that narrative. This is happening in our cities. This is probably the greatest threat to America. More than China, more than Russia, more than anything. It's the infiltration that we've allowed in our nation because of legal immigration, because of non-assimilation. By allowing people to come in with asylums or migrants, what we're doing is actually changing our nation, and we're going to be the next Europe if we're not careful. Dallas, Plano, this is happening. New York City, of course Michigan, Minnesota, even in Florida, it's a growing populace and they're looking for Florida next. 25 states have leadership that are Muslim. Is this really what we want in America? I'm just asking a question. You answer for yourself. Is this what you want? Last story of the day I want to bring up, Dr. McCullough shared this. He says this right here, the version, destroyed 8.4% of non-renewable eye cells in just 75 days. Meaning the damage to the vision of humans that took this is now coming to an astounding rate where people are having to get more and more and more dependent on glasses, contacts, and surgeries because of the loss of vision. This comes after James O'Keefe did a leak basically on the J&J, and listen to this, what this guy, he didn't know he was being filmed. Again, go back and watch if you hadn't seen this O'Keefe Media Group. Listen to this. It says, do you have any idea the lack of research that was done on this product? He was talking about this. He said, we pushed this knowing it was not, quote, safe and effective. He said people rushed it, people wanted it, and we gave it to them. I mean, it basically was just a race to figure out who could solve it at best, and really, to be honest with you, none of them were any good. None of them were any good and not tested. Now we're seeing vision loss, we're seeing heart problems, we're seeing more and more issues. Now, is that your fault if you took it? No. And is there a lot of things that you can do to fix it? Not as much. But to be honest with you, we need to hold people accountable. Trump's been in office, I think now for what, 6-7 months? The DOJ has now been in office 6-7 months, and yes, we've been dealing with the file situation, but to be honest with you, why has no one went to jail? Why has no one been arrested? Just like this guy from O'Keefe Media James O'Keefe actually busted JJ, he'll just be fired. No big deal. Why are we not seeing people get arrested for things they did? We see the auto pen situation, that's a whole nother discussion. Why are we not seeing people held accountable for the mistakes they've made? That's the thing I want to pay attention to. That, yes, the first problem is a major issue because people are taking advantage of Americans. The second problem is it's infiltration of America. And the third problem is our leadership led us astray, led us to a cliff, and a lot of people jumped off, and there's been no help and no accountability to actually say this was a problem. All you CEOs, all you people who pushed this, knowing it was bad, not knowing it was tested, the government that backed it should be held accountable. And not one goose egg on people that's been held accountable for these mistakes, including some of the main players at NIH. Pay attention to these stories. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. And I've got some good ones coming up on water and food in the next coming days. I need your support because the more that I talk about this stuff, the more I'm held down. So please share this. Pay attention. This Walmart affects us. That's your water and food, people. The second one, it affects us because this is your cities, this is your towns. We tend to look to Washington to fix problems, and to be honest with you, we better start looking at home because they're starting at home. The new jihad is at home, the cities. And number 3, the people that have taken advantage of us, the people that knowingly did something wrong to us, has not been held accountable. The DOJ wants to actually work for us. This is where they need to work, right here. hold people accountable. Guys, speak up. Keep sharing this content. Keep looking, again, for spiritual things to heal us and help us, absolutely. But if we start awakening and we start getting wiser and we start having more of a common sense approach, I promise you, things will get better because our eyes are opened, and that's the key. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on today's video. God bless.